Okay. So we are in the unit, that is the third unit, which is magnetostatics. We had rather discussed regarding the fundamentals related to magnetostatics, but still we'll have a revision related to the same. See, we know that when there is a charge in motion, there is going to be a flow of current which is going to take place. This flow of current is going to that is create a current, that is flow of current, which is going to create an electric field. And due to this flow of current, there is a flux which is developed in an element or the conductor which we are assuming. And due to that flux, there is a magnetic field which has been produced. And this combination of magnetic and electric field, we call it as the magnetostatics, which has been called as. Now, why we call it as a magnetostatics? Statics is nothing but the current is steady, and hence we call it as static. It is time invariant, that it is not changing with time, and hence we call it as a static, that is magnetic, electric, and the field that is going to be static, and hence we call it as magnetostatics, which is going to be there. So we are studying now the effect of magnetic field, electric field in a conductor or in a free space, which will be assuming in further form. So this we had assumed that the flow of electric field and the magnetic field which has been shown here. But actually it is only the magnetic field which has been shown. So it is a magnetic flux lines which are being observed. These flux lines originate from where? Or we know that these flux lines are nothing but magnetic flux. These exist in the pair of the poles which we are considering. That is, they are starting from the North Pole and they are ending towards the South Pole. So this is what is in a magnet, that is a magnetic flux lines are being created. So the direction is nothing but they are starting from North and ending towards the South Pole. Now what you have is, this is again showing the direction of, that is magnetic flux lines which are being created in a conductor. Now this conductor, we are considering a straight conductor which is carrying a current. It produces a magnetic field which is around the conductor. So there are flux lines which are concentric created on the surface, and we call these as nothing but the flux lines which are going to be there. So the direction of current is constant. The magnetic flux is also going to be constant itself. This is the right hand thumb rule to determine the direction of magnetic field around the conductor which is going to be there. Like, so when we hold a current carrying conductor in the right hand and the thumb is pointing, then what it is, the thumb is pointing the direction of the current, and that is parallel to the conductor, and the curled finger shows the direction of magnetic field which is created around it, right? So this is magnetic flux density, field intensity. So we measure magnetic field intensity in terms of what we call it as the magnetic field strength, which has been measured by. So at any point, we measure the magnetic field intensity by a force which was nothing but experienced by that particular conductor which is there. So this magnetic flux lines which are measured, combination of these magnetic flux lines create a field, and that we call it as the magnetic field intensity. So this magnetic field intensity is measured in nothing but newtons per Weber. Why? Because the magnetic flux is measured in Weber itself. So magnetic field intensity is measured in newtons per Weber. Or we measure it in terms of simple, that is ampere per meter, which is easy to remember. Or we also put it in terms of ampere turns per meter, which has been, that is the unit. It has been represented by a variable, and that variable is nothing but h. As we described it in terms of a vector, we write it as h bar. So it is a vector, and hence we write it as h bar. So in electric field intensity, we had represented electric field intensity as E bar. Now in magnetic, that is magnetostatics, we represent magnetic field with what we have denoted as nothing but h bar, which is there. Now this is magnetic flux density which has been measured. Now we know that there is a force which has been created by the magnetic lines, and hence these magnetic lines create an intensity around that particular conductor, and this intensity we call it as nothing but magnetic flux density which has been represented. Now this flux density is represented by a B bar. It is also a vector quantity and it is measured in Weber per square meter. Similarly, in electrostatics, we had measured this in terms of flux lines, in terms of d bar, that we call it as a electric flux density. And here it is b bar. So we know that in electrostatics, the relation between E bar and D bar was, E bar is nothing but epsilon D bar, that is permittivity of the material which is going to be used by. So here also there is a relation between B bar and H bar. And that relation is nothing but given by B bar is mu H bar, which has been represented. Mu is nothing but what we call it as a permeability of the material which has been used. How do I define this permeability? It is nothing but the ability, or we say ease with which the current carrying conductor forces the magnetic flux lines around that particular, that is field. The conductor or the region which is going to be there, and hence it has been represented by a mu. It is mu is given by mu naught mu r, where mu naught or mu zero we represent it as the free space permeability which has been represented, and it has been given by 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. Okay, note this out. And we have mu r, we call it as the relative permeability which has been represented, right? So your B bar is equal to mu H bar, and mu is nothing but represented as mu zero mu r. Mu zero is free space permeability and mu r is relative permeability, right? So you have a relation that we had done also, that is Biot-Savart law. What does this law states is, we have considered a conductor, current carrying conductor, and we have considered a small length, that is a differential length, that is the dl for this particular conductor. So the current flowing through this current, that is conductor, is nothing but I, and we are measuring the intensity, that is magnetic field intensity, at a point P which we have taken far away from the conductor. So there is a line which is joining from this dl length to the point P, and that is represented by a distance, that is capital R, which we have shown, right? There is an angle, which is angle, that is theta, which has been created between the that is the point P, and it is nothing but the differential length element which we have taken as. Okay, so what does the law states is, the law states that the magnetic field intensity which has been produced is proportional to the product of current I and the differential length, that is dl. It is also equal to the sine of the angle which has been formed between the differential length and the point P which is joining the element. And third thing, that it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the point P and the element which has been assumed by. And hence we put that is dH, differential magnetic field intensity, is proportional to IDL sine theta upon R square, right? Where K is proportionality constant, which is given by 1 upon 4 pi, and hence dH is given by IDL sine theta 4 pi R square. So we have represented dl as a magnitude of a vector, and hence it is a constant. And if I want to represent it in a vector form, then it is dl bar is equal to dl ar bar, where ar bar is nothing but the unit vector which we have represented. Now, if I take a product of dl cross, that is ar bar, right? It is dl cross ar bar. Then it is given by dl ar absolute value into sine theta, right? Or it is nothing but dl sine theta, where ar bar is nothing but equal to 1. Why? Because it is a unit vector. So what we have done is, we have substituted your dl sine theta. Okay, we have substituted your dl sine theta by dl bar ar bar. So we have that is I dl sine theta 4 pi r square. Your dl sine theta will be replaced by dl bar ar bar. So it is I dl bar ar bar upon 4 pi r square, a ampere per meter. Now calculating for the unit vector calculation, we know that it is vector upon magnitude of the vector, and substituting this unit vector value in the equation, we have dH is equal to IDL cross R bar upon 4 pi R cube. So this is the final, that is the Biot-Savart law for that is magnetostatics. Now this comes when we are going to start with, that is we have put a relation for DH, right? So what was the relation for DH? The DH relation is IDL bar cross R bar upon 4 pi, that is R cube. Now if I want to put only the relation for H, this relation will be integration of the equation. So what we have put is H bar is integration IDL bar cross AR bar upon 4 pi R square. What you have done is, see, there is a thing which I have used is nothing but a closed loop which has been used for the integration sign. So this is a closed integral which has been used. What does closed integral indicate? That there is a flow of current, and flow of current is always in a closed path which is going to be there, right? And hence we consider that this is in a closed element, current is flowing in a closed element, and hence you do remember that when we integrate it, it has to be on over the closed area which has been assumed. Okay, now if I assume that the area is not a closed path which is there, okay, or I assume that there are 2 points. This is point 1 and the second point is nothing but at point P. Okay, then how do I calculate for this particular element the H bar, that is magnetic field intensity? So for this, I'm calculating it from where? From a point that is DL length. This is the current carrying conductor, right? You can see at point 1. So it is producing, that is a magnetic flux, that is field intensity at point P. So we are calculating towards point P, right? So it is the current which is flowing is nothing but I1 current which I am assuming by. So we know that IDL AR bar upon 4 pi R square. So it is I1 DL1, that is the length of the conductor, cross AR, that is unit vector. Now it has been represented between point 1 and 2, and hence we have written is AR12 upon 4 pi R square 12. Again, it is the distance between 1 and 2, and hence it is 1 and 2, that is ampere per meter, right? Where I1 I said that is current which is flowing in the DL, that is the differential current element. Then DL1 is the length of the current element. Then AR1, AR12, it is a unit vector, and we have calculated the unit vector as vector upon magnitude of the vector, and hence substituting, that is the value we have, that is H is nothing but integration I dl cross AR upon 4 pi R square ampere per meter, and this we call it as the integral form of Biot-Savart law, which has been stated as. Okay, now what will be next going through is